Located between the towns of Sedgwick and Valley Center, Kansas, Theorosa's Bridge is a historic site that is claimed to be haunted. Over the years, there have been many reports of strange happenings, such as people seeing ghostly lights, the apparition of a woman, hearing the sounds of mournful sobbing, and more. Today, here on Mystery Archives, we are exploring the mystery and the legend of Theorosa's Bridge. Not only will we be discussing the stories and the history, but we will be taking a trip to the destination itself. The legend of the haunting has a few different tellings. One of the stories that comes from Theorosa's Bridge is that of baby Theorosa, the daughter of 19th century settlers who was stolen by Native Americans during a rampage on the bridge. Her mother, grief-stricken and worried, left camp to search for the child, to no avail. To this day, visitors claim you can see Theorosa's mother's ghost still looking and calling for the baby girl she lost years ago. Another story is that of a young Native American girl named Theorosa, who, after having a child with a married settler, threw both herself and her baby from the bridge into the cascading waters below. It is said that if you look and listen carefully, you can see and hear the young woman still searching for her child. The third and final story is about a blonde-haired, blue-eyed local farm family whose brown-haired, dark-eyed daughter was drowned in the creek by her father after he suspected that she was an illegitimate child of the neighbor. Eventually, the father and two sons abandoned the mother while she searched the creek for her daughter, which she continued to do until her death years later. And while the stories vary, the general consensus where I'm from is that the story is that of a woman who had lost her child and had thrown herself off the bridge that was once there. She now haunts the land in search of her baby. It's said that if you chant Theorosa, Theorosa, I have your baby while on the bridge, you will be pushed. Others have reported being touched or poked. Now, when I've gone, I've never personally been pushed, but then again, I don't taunt the dead. But when I was a kid, I went with my mom and a few of my friends, and our car died about a quarter of the way over the bridge. And with this bridge being in the middle of nowhere, with little to no light at nighttime, we were absolutely terrified. But thankfully, within just a few minutes, we were able to get the car started again, and drove home with no further issues. So I was never sure if it was indeed just coincidental car trouble, or something to do with the bridge. But experiencing that with multiple witnesses definitely made me think at the time that perhaps there was something more to this place. Perhaps there was something paranormal. After researching for this video, it seems that perhaps there's a common phenomena of other people who have experienced their cars stalling on the bridge as well. Later on, when I was a teenager, I went with another friend of mine just to revisit the legend and experience the place again. I recall being fairly creeped out just as we pulled up, even though there was nothing suspicious about the place at the time. That feeling was only made worse when we went down and underneath the bridge and found 6 dead baby cows, along with a lot of bones. And on top of the bones was a small baby doll. Needless to say, we didn't stay long. Since then, I hadn't been back until now, and I wondered if the old bridge was just as I had remembered, and if anything eerie would happen. So we set off and arrived after about a 35-minute drive to our destination, Theorosa's Bridge. The original bridge was iron and wood and was built sometime in the 19th century and had mysteriously burned down in 1974. A short time after it was rebuilt, and for circumstances unanswered yet again, it burned down for a second time. The road remained closed until a new bridge was constructed in 1991, and that's the current bridge that you see here. Over the years, it's been marked by graffiti despite being out in the middle of nowhere. Located past the thick overgrowth are worn paths leading down underneath the bridge. Due to the popularity of the legend, the place had become for a time a teenage hangout, and perhaps still is, considering the random scattered Pokemon cards and alcohol containers. Within a matter of seconds, we spotted a dead animal. It looked like a dog, unfortunately, but with its state of decomposition, we couldn't really tell for sure. And oddly, every time I've been out there, or any of my friends for that matter, there's always been dead animals underneath that bridge, and it certainly doesn't make things any less weird. It was also around this time that we heard a loud screeching sound coming from the distance. To me, it sounded like a woman screaming. There are roads all around, and it's certainly possible that the noise could have been from a car, and maybe perhaps it was distorted as it reached us. But either way, it definitely spooked us a bit. Located almost directly in the center of the newer bridge are the wood posts from the original bridge that had all but burned down, a relic and testament to the history of the location. What was once a rushing river that flowed through the area has all but dried up at this time, leaving exposed tree roots, and certainly making for a creepy walk. As we began to traverse the riverbed, we saw another dead animal, and this time it was a raccoon. Perhaps it had been struck by a car that was driving overhead. It's not necessarily out of the blue to see dead animals in nature, but this place almost always has dead animals. Every single time that I've gone, or any of my friends have gone, it just seems to harbor death. As we walked down one of the old paths of the river, I couldn't help but get a sense that someone was watching me, the wind rattling the branches and roots beside me as I continued forward. Towards our stopping point, as to not get too far out, we discovered yet another animal carcass that was all but bone. And I tell you what, seeing a ribcage sticking out of the ground is definitely a strange sight when you're not used to seeing that kind of stuff every day. We slowly made our way back underneath the bridge for one last look before heading out. And not having been back in years, I have to say that we didn't see any apparitions, but there was an inner sense of dread about the place, and whether or not that was our imagination, I can't know for sure, but it certainly made for a unique experience. So that was our trip, as well as the legends surrounding the haunting of Theorosa's Bridge. If you guys enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe with the bell, and if you've ever been to Theorosa's Bridge, or have any stories or legends you want us to cover, let us know down in the comments below. And from everyone here at Mystery Archives, happy Halloween, and thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day.